Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Mindful Marathon Conversations. I'm Dr. Michelle Quirk. I'm a pediatrician and a run coach and the founder of Mindful Marathon. And today I have with me a very special guest. I have Wendy Margolin here. She is the owner of Sparker Marketing and the founder of the Clinician Social Media Club. She helps clinicians grow their practice or healthcare business with emails, social media, and blogs. And when she's not working, she's a runner, an amateur guitar player, and on any given night, at least some of her 4 kids will tell you she's a really good cook. So thank you very much for being here, Wendy.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me on. I'm excited to talk to your audience, and it's just fun meeting you in person. I've been watching you and cheering you on from social media, so I feel like I know a little bit about you and what you're up to, and it's just always fun to meet in person.
Yes,
Or
and
sort of.
the feeling is mutual, exactly. So tell us how you came to the sport of running. Maybe let's start there.
Yeah, well, it never really felt like a sport for me at first. I would say it felt a little more like a hobby, which I think is good because that takes off some of the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But I started running probably in 1997. So a long time ago. I was a freshman in college, and my older sister had started running. And I pretty much have always done everything she ever did. I would just she'd try it out and I would try it on for size.
Mm-hmm.
So that was how I got started. And the sport of running has really changed dramatically since I started. I think I just wore whatever t-shirt and whatever shorts. There wasn't gear. You just bought whatever shoes. So it was a lot more just casual, I would say, less competitive.
Yeah.
So that was then. And starting running it was a long time ago, but I remember it really clearly what it took for me because I wasn't in shape and I wasn't an athlete by any means. I was one of 3 girls, and we just danced and were cheerleaders, and
Mm-hmm.
anything with a ball was really scary. and I certainly wasn't a runner. So I remember just timing on my watch 12 minutes
Mm-hmm.
and thinking if I could just keep my legs moving in a running motion for 12 minutes, that was probably a mile.
Yeah.
And there was no GPS, there wasn't even MapQuest, so I don't know what a mile was, but I thought it must be 12, right? Because in elementary school, you had to do the mile run and most kids were done by 12. So I just remember staring at my watch over and over and over and that being completely miserable. And you probably could have walked, gone speed walking faster than my running pace. But
that's how it was for me too.
Right.
I think it was
for most of us. I mean,
it was very painful.
Yeah. And I've since done coaching for kids, a similar program to Girls on the Run that we just did privately at my kids' school. But I modeled it after that. And I see, with kids, they can just run and they're pretty good. And sometimes they're 8 minutes or so. But I think a lot of adults start out where it's just completely miserable.
Yeah.
For 2 to 4 weeks straight of misery.
A lot of people tell me, yeah, I mean, these are the objections really to running, just that it hurts. They're going to be huffing and puffing. It feels bad. Yeah.
Yeah. It felt really bad. It was not fun. I'm not sure why I kept it up, but I think it was just because my sister was doing it. So I was like, well, if she can do it, I can do it. I saw that I had it in me if she could do it.
Yeah.
So she was already running and doing great. So I did that 12 minutes a bunch of times in a row. I don't remember how many, but then I figured, all right, let's do 20. And then I did 20 a bunch of times, and that was just as miserable. But I remember eventually I got to 30. And by then I think it had been a month. And I mean, you probably know better than me because you're a physician and you're a running coach, but there was something about that 30, that habit of it having been a month.
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden it was oh, it's not miserable anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you can just get yourself to that period,
Yeah.
And yeah. And then I remember there was like a switch in my mind where I was like, okay, now it's not as hard and now I can do it.
Hmm.
And once your mind is there, even if you get out of shape physically, you have to take a break. I took a lot of breaks in the years since then.
Hmm.
Um, the hardest part is your mind.
Yeah.
So you can get out of shape, but you already built your mind up that one time. You know that you can do it.
Yeah.
And it's so much easier every other time. So it's just 1 month of misery. If anyone watching or listening
I would
wants
say
to give it
too,
a go.
when I started, it was similar for me as an adult. Like I started running more regularly, probably about 10 years ago now. But before that, I was sort of on again, off again. Like I had tried it a lot of times, but I never could get past that. Like it was feeling bad, and I would only do it once or twice, and then I would stop for months and months and then pick it up again. So I did something though similar to you where I actually only went out for like 5 or 10 minutes at the beginning. So I think I had a little bit longer of a titration up because I started so small. But once I realized, like at the beginning, I was like 5 minutes. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but I'm just gonna lace up my sneakers and go around the block once, and then I just kept doing it. But you're right, the 30-minute mark feels like a major life event.
Yeah. Right. I for sure would have posted that to Instagram had it been around.
Yes. And then, so you said you have taken some, time off here and there through the years. What has kept you, going in the sport? What keeps you going back to it?
Yeah. Well, I think mostly the time off was that I had kids. So
Yeah.
I have 4 kids, and my first 3 are each 26 months apart.
Okay.
So I just stopped. It was too much. It was too hard. I also, after college, I lived for a little while in Israel, which there was,
Mhm.
here at least we had gyms at all of our colleges, and there was sort of an idea of people like working out and athletic clubs and stuff like that, but that didn't exist there at all. It was an active country where people have to walk everywhere the way you would in Europe, but like nobody ran. So I kept that up a little there, but it was harder. Like kids
Yeah.
would yell at me, like, "What are you running from?" Whatever. I was like this crazy American. So, but I kind of fell out of habit once I started having kids. I wasn't one of those people that could keep running pregnant. A
Mhm,
lot of people
mhm.
can, but
Yeah.
it didn't work for me. And and then I had little kids, and I was a working mom, and I had all that sort of guilt where you have to, because you're working, you feel like you want to be with them every second. I don't
Yeah.
know. So those years were sort of a blur, but I remember after my third was when he was a baby. So there was a crew of other women in my neighborhood who I was acquainted with, and they were running. And so I got back into it. I started running a little, and then I remember they would do these crazy early runs, and I hadn't ever really done a long run.
Mhm,
Now I weekly do a long run on the weekends, but I'd never done that before. The most I probably ran was like 4 miles.
mhm.
And these women did, I think they did 7.
Okay.
I, I went with them, and I had to come back because there's only one way to get home.
Yeah.
And it was like early, and I was alone. I'm in the city in Chicago. I had to keep up. And I got home, and I think I laid on the floor the rest of the day. I couldn't move. But that really got me back. I started training for a race after that, and I've just
Mhm.
always incorporated races for fun
Yeah. Yeah.
into my life since then. But yeah, I've since my third, I really got back into it. So I'd say there was like a 4-year break in
Mhm,
there.
mhm.
Um, and then with my fourth son, I had to take a break again, but I got a really good jogging stroller. So my kids are old enough that I've also seen those improve dramatically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that 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 kid, he's now 10, but he logged a lot of miles in the
In the
jogging
jogging
stroller
stroller.
and in the bike trailer. He was very active.
That's
He
great.
was very fit.
And so what, in terms of, I think the message there is great that there are periods of necessary rest, I think. And, whether it's life events or injuries or whatever, like these periods of rest and recovery are necessary. But you were talking before about having that I guess memory of getting started. It was never quite as bad as the first time. And every time you go back to it, it gets easier and easier to just kind of fall right back in step with it.
Yeah, I think not only that, with injury, you have to slowly build back in when your doctor allows you or PT
Yeah.
allows you to go back. But after a baby, like, I don't know, after you're at whatever point where you feel like you can go, it really, I just remember being a little slower at
Yeah.
first, but that was it.
Yeah.
It really wasn't ever hard again
Hmm.
after that first time, even when I took like the 4-year break.
Yeah. Wow. That's a really reassuring message for people, I think.
Yeah, because it's I can't do this. And I
Mhm.
still feel that like treadmills are really hard for me.
Me
So
too.
here when it's cold in Chicago, I go on a track.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at the treadmill, but I feel that even it's all in your head. So if you feel like you can't do it or you don't want to do it, then every minute feels so slow. So I feel that on a treadmill. I had to do a treadmill last week
Mhm.
for various reasons. And I lasted a mile. I was like covering the time and I was like, forget it. I just went on a bike. I couldn't do it. So it really is your head that keeps your legs going.
Yeah, no, it's true. Um, how does goal setting sort of fit into all of this? Like maybe with races or maybe not with races, but how does setting a goal help you to keep going?
Yeah. Well, I think a goal just makes it more fun and friends. Those are the two things that
Mm.
really make it more fun. I'm not super competitive. I'm kind of like good enough is good for me.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I like having a half marathon every summer. That's just a fun goal for me. And I always try and break, a certain point. So I just try and break 2 hours. And then if I end up being it for it being a PR or personal record. So that's just really even more exciting. But I'm not crazy competitive or crazy hard on myself. I don't know. I have friends that are, but I guess also because my older sister continues to run and is also a running coach and she's so fast and so good. So I almost feel like, okay, someone in the family is already doing it. I don't have to also, I don't have to be so fast.
Yeah.
Like my family team's already checked that box. Um,
That's great.
yeah. So I just try to beat my own personal record. And I don't know, there's not that many things in life where you can set this very concrete goal. Here are the steps to do it. You're completely in control outside of like injury, but you're completely in control about, making sure that you follow the map, the steps,
Hmm.
and then you run the race and like right away you have the immediate feedback on did you do it or did you not? And what could you have done better?
Yeah.
There's not so many things that are like that where you have that kind of control and the goal is achievable because you set it yourself. And
Yep. Yeah,
so
that's why I think running is, it spills over into all other aspects of life, and it's hard for people just starting out maybe to see that. But I think setting a goal, whatever it is, it could be a distance, it could be a time, or just to be consistent with it at the beginning is is sometimes good enough.
yeah, totally. And there's so many ways to do achieve that now. Like, you have someone like you as a coach, and then there's, someone's holding you accountable. You can have a friend now. There's
Yeah.
um there's like those goals websites where you have to like pay a charity or an anti-charity if you don't achieve your goal. I don't know, there's like so many ways
Yes, you're right.
to like get it done. But I think for your audience, especially who are so busy,
Yeah.
and there's so much pressure and stress with what you all have to deal with, especially these days, that it's just such a release. It's such a better way to get through your day if you have that, like, just even 30 minutes to yourself of releasing that energy. And I also like other things. I like biking, and I love, I do a HIIT class, like,
Mhm,
so
mhm.
there's nothing like a run that really not only keeps you fit, but just makes you emotionally more able to deal with whatever you have to deal with in your day.
Yeah, agreed.
And yeah, I mean, even like, I don't know if you have med school listeners, but I used to study on my runs too. Like, I would have an outline, and I'd do the outline in my head, or
Mhm.
review a class in my head. Like, there's so many ways that it's served me
Yeah.
outside of just being healthier.
I think when I stopped listening to music, like I would listen to music a lot at first, and then I kind of switched, and every once in a while I'll listen to an audiobook or a podcast, but mostly I just run without anything now and just kind of tune into nature. We have a nice trail here, but things do gel in my mind, or I'll get ideas for the business and like get into a creative space when I'm out there, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. That's been something that I have not been great about lately. I listen to podcasts on my run, so it's fun, it's busy. It's almost like I'm in business school
Yeah, yeah.
on my runs.
Learn a lot.
Yeah, I learn a ton. So that's been my focus for the last few years. But I did used to run with no music and no anything. And that's definitely a different kind of run that takes you into a different kind of really healthy headspace.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So good for you.
Now, my husband and I entered the lottery for the Chicago Marathon this year, but we didn't get in. So,
Mm.
so now, which half marathon do you have one that you usually do, that same one, or a different?
Oh, so I usually just look at the timing. I'm always looking for a Sunday race. I don't run on Shabbat, so that
Okay.
limits me. And I've done a lot of fun ones, but the downtown Chicago route is
Okay.
really special and really fun. And it's also like a lot harder. It's just harder to park. And I don't know, once you've done it a bunch of times, you're kind of over having to run under Lower Wacker Drive and like, so it's very fun. The Chicago Marathon, I highly recommend. And if you come, I'll come out and cheer you on.
Okay.
But lately, I've really been liking the small western suburb in Chicago. So wherever you are, whatever those small,
Mhm.
more local races where they put together a 5K and a half marathon, and like everyone's out with their morning coffee and their dog cheering
Yeah,
for you.
yeah.
And you can park right at the start line, and
Yes.
there's no like fancy expensive packet pickup process. So
Yeah,
I've been
yeah.
doing those. I've done those, like, maybe my last 4 years have been smaller local races. So I like those.
Well, let's see. Tell us where people can find you if they would like to work with you. You have a great service to offer, and I think some of my audience would definitely be interested in it.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the opportunity. So you can find me on any social media channel. I'm on Instagram at Wendy.Margolin, and I'm on LinkedIn is my favorite space, especially connecting with physicians. And I have a social media club, especially for clinicians. So it's social media templates and captions that go together, written for clinicians, and also do lots of writing. So, but I love supporting and seeing people like you who are finding a passion that's connected to medicine, where you're bringing that to the table, and a little bit of also just your full self. And I think it's a really challenging time for everyone in the healthcare space.
Yeah.
So to find people who can connect some sort of passion to like keep you motivated and happy and healthy is just really important. So that's been fun to watch you continue to grow this space. And it was fun to be in your virtual race. And I like wearing your hat. I wore it yesterday to my HIIT class, and everyone's like, what's the mindful marathon? Do you meditate while you run? Well, Michelle does, but I listen to podcasts.
You don't have to meditate while you run. Oh, thanks. No, thank you. And we all appreciate what you do for us too. Everything that you put out there helps.
Yeah,
Keep
it's
us
the time
organized.
is the biggest challenge, but we all have seen the dangers of what happens when the physicians aren't the ones leading the information consumption out there. So
Yep. Nope. And we appreciate it. We thank you for what you do for us. So
yeah, thank you.
well, it was my pleasure to have you. And I will leave all of your links in the notes here. And yeah, thanks for joining me. And hopefully I'll see you in Chicago or in
Yeah,
Philly or both.
keep me posted. We'll do a run together.
Okay. That sounds good. All right. Take
All
care,
right.
everybody.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. If you liked it, please subscribe and share it with a friend. And if you are a newer runner or a runner who hasn't run in a while and you're looking to get back into the sport, you can find out how to work with me over on my website, which is mindful-marathon.com. See you on the next episode.